So you see the title, How to Become a Business Scaling Robot. Or the number one reason why you're going to fail in business is because of your emotions. You're making emotional, stupid decisions. All right, a client asked me this the other day. I gave him his game plan as far as how to scale from 0 to 30K a month. Exact game plan laid out, and he was like, "Oh wow, like the path forward seems quite simple. Like it seems so clear now. Like what do I need to avoid? Like how do I make sure I don't mess this up?" And I told him, "Hey, look, the number one thing why like people fail, or they don't make it, they don't hit their goals, is because of emotions. All right, it's emotional decision making and fear getting in the way of actually making the right decisions. Because on business, like at the end of it, like you can find the pathway. You can find like what to do. Like you can go on YouTube videos. You can just pay someone for an exact road, an exact game plan, what to do, exact systems. Like you can just do that in 2025. You can just pay someone and get exactly what to do. The main determining factor is going to be your decision making framework and how you make decisions. Are you making it out of an emotional frame, out of a fear-based frame, or are you making it out of a logical, scientific frame, which I can go over in this video exactly how to make decisions. All right, this has helped me make millions of dollars online for both my coaching businesses. It's also helped me sign, I think, over 700 high-ticket clients at this point in time, and it's helped me, get a lot of results for our clients here. So here's like a few examples real quick, just to run you through some of them. Feel free to check out any of this stuff. But let's dive in. All right, how to turn off your emotions and become a business scaling robot. So first thing you must understand is sample size. All right, sample size, critical. You must understand this. All right. So example, let's say you're making a cancer-saving medication. All right, so it's a big deal. You wouldn't just give this to 4 people and draw conclusions off of those 4 people, right? It's very like kind of basic to understand. Like, oh yeah, I mean that's obviously like not enough. Just 4 people. Then why are you doing this in your business? All right, so many times I talk to people and they told me, oh well, I started running ads and I booked 4 calls, but no one signed up. So clearly the ads aren't working. It's like, it's 4 people. It's just 4 people. Like anything could happen with those 4 people. That's just small sample size. It's so minute. It's so insignificant. Of course, you can't make good decisions based off 4 people. It's just emotional. Of like, oh, 4 people in a row told you no. 4 people in a row told you no, or they didn't show up, or whatever. The lead quality wasn't the highest, but it's 4 people. There's nothing to conclude based off 4 people. Or another example, if you are sending DMs, for example, you send out 10, 20 DMs, you don't book a call. Okay, there's no sample size. It's just too small. You need to do more volume. Most people just don't realize the volume required to get a good sample size. So I'll give you some examples here. For calls booked, it's going to be 30 calls booked. This is for making decisions around show rate and close rate. All right, things like that. So the actual sales process. All right, 30 calls booked. All right, for things like DMs, for example, all right, DMs is going to be 240. All right, 240 DMs sent. All right, that's the sample size you want to make decisions off of. For ad spend, this is usually going to be 3 to 5x KPI, or for cost per call. So let's say your cost per call, let's say you want to book calls for $150 per call. That means you're going to be looking at, what is that? Quick math, 450 to 600. Somewhere around there, 400 to, this would actually be 750. Somewhere in this range, it would be a good sample size for ads if that's your KPI. All right, so you have to know sample size because you can't make decisions before this. You just can't. All right, what does that make sense? Unless you're obviously like extremely close, you don't have to be like super arbitrary with it, where if you're at like 230 DMs and you have like 0 replies, like nothing, then obviously like there's a very low likelihood that these 10 messages are going to get you some results. But you got to understand this stuff. You got to understand sample size. You can't make stupid decisions based off such a small sample size. It's crucial. It's just pure emotion. It's a pure fear. All right, so many times people get a very small sample size and they just freak out. They're like, oh, I need to change my offer. I need to change my sales process. I need to turn off the ads that are not working, all this crap, and it's just because of emotions. All right, turn off your emotions. Can't do it. You just won't win if you make decisions with your emotions. That's number 1. Number 2, data is weird. Or data is weird. What do I mean with this? So, example here, let's say you're rolling die. All right. And it's, generally we all agree, like, hey, it'll land on heads 50% of the time and it'll land on tails 50% of the time. Right? Like, this is just what it comes down to. Whoops, I completely messed it. How did I mess that up? Let's say you're flipping a coin. I don't know. I just wrote this. I just woke up like 2 hours ago, so my apologies. I do have coffee now. I don't know how I messed that up, but flipping a coin. All right, that's a real example we're going with. So flipping a coin lands on head 50% of the time, lands on tails 50% of the time. But let's say you only flip it 10 times. All right, I got to adjust this, man. Flip it 10 times. All right, it could land on heads 9 out of 10 times, right? Like that could happen. All right, and you realize this is true as well. So what is it going on? What's the fundamental truth here? Data is weird. It will most likely not present itself perfectly. All right, so what that means, you need to apply this to your business. All right, on sales calls, for example, let's say you want to have a 30% close rate, and that's what you've done in the past. All right, don't expect this to be perfect, where it's like, hey, no, no, yes, no, no, yes. Like that 1 in every 3 calls you close, like it doesn't work out like that. All right, it could very well be no, 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 yes, 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 yes. Like it could just be these streaks that you hit. And that's actually happens quite commonly. All right, it's more unlikely for data to present itself perfectly in those like no, no, yes buckets, rather than the streaks. Like it can be very random, it can be very weird. So you have to be okay with that. You have to, like, again, zoom out and just look at the big sample size. Because again, this goes back to the first point. Because if you make decisions off of so small sample size, let's say 6 calls in, 7 calls in here, what's going to happen? You're going to change everything, even though you're about to get all these yeses. And so the loop that people find themselves in is they'll experience this. They'll freak out. They'll change their ads. They'll change their sales process. They'll change their offer and everything. They'll launch a new business basically. And then they run into this again because they changed everything, even though their initial hypothesis, their initial systems and processes were actually decent, but they just didn't wait long enough. And so there's just this endless repeating cycle of actually like just making worse and worse decisions because they're not making decisions based off of real data, but just like small sample sizes. So they honestly just get worse and worse and worse and worse over time. And so that's why you're on this video right now, is you've probably been making terrible emotional decisions and you're not doing this correctly. You must be a scientist. You must understand data. All right. The only people who win in business are those who make data-driven decisions, like everything. All right, number 3. What do we got here? So scientific iteration. This is arguably like one of the most important things that you need to take away from this video is number 3 here, scientific iteration. So let's say we get a full sample size. This is only done once you get a full sample size. All right, so let's say you book 30 calls. At that point, let's say your close rate is not where you want it to be, or your show rate's not where we want it to be. How do you actually make changes and do it scientifically and do it in the best manner possible so you can win, so you can succeed? Here's how you do it. All right, this, like, when I actually started applying this absolutely transformed everything for me, because it stopped being random emotional decisions and started being scientific iterations that, like, if I just done this for a long period of time, like, I will fix the bottleneck. I will fix the constraint and actually scale my business. Like, this is it. This is all it is. All right, so let's say you have a true sample size, 30 calls booked, and your close rate is only 10%. All right, so close rate's too low. You want it to be at least at 25% plus. All right, so there's a big constraint here, big constraint in business. If we just fix this one thing, we more than double the business. Like going from 10% close rate to 25%, significant jump in the business. That's going from like 30K a month to like 70 or 80K a month right there. Just doing that one thing. So in this instance, how do we fix this? How do we fix this so we can literally like 2.5x the business? Something like, I don't know the math, but something like that. So in this instance, you can only change one variable in the sales process. All right. That's what scientific iteration is. This is the crucial part. Only change one variable. Let me underline this, bold this, do all this crazy stuff right here. All right, one variable. So you only want to change just the pitch. Or maybe you just want to change the discovery. Or maybe you just want to change something, pre-call priming in that process. All right, you want to identify, hey, like what's the most likely constraint here that's actually stopping people from moving forward? Maybe your pitch just sucks. Or you can judge this by, like pitch, for example, is we do a temp check after the pitch. So that's like asking people, hey, scale from 1 to 10, do you want to hang up right now? Or like, is this actually what you're looking for to get XYZ dream outcome? Obviously you frame it better, but you're doing like a temp check like that to get where they're at, scale from 1 to 10. And so if they're like near like 8 to 10 out of 10, your pitch is probably pretty good. Or you're probably pretty good on that frame. But if it's very low here, or very low, if it's like you're getting like 5s and 6s, some 7s, anything like that, that means your pitch is probably a big constraint. It could also be upstream as well though, but there's something going on right here. Like there's something wrong, seriously wrong, because you need to be getting people certain on the process. Like that should be there for sure. Our discovery phase. So this is like big things we look for here is, hey, are we getting, number one, a clear problem? Are we getting doubt as well? So doubt is like, hey, do they have doubt that they can't fix the problem by themselves? Or they need help to fix the problem. They need to have that doubt. Are we also getting urgency? This is a big one. This is a big reason why you're getting so many think about it. Or any delay objection. Let me think about it. Let me think it over. Let me get back to you. Anything like that. It's because there's no real urgency. Or if there's real urgency of like, hey, the problem's clear and it's a very urgent problem. I need to solve the problem now. Logically, they can't, like, they have to do something. They have to move forward as soon as possible, or it doesn't make sense. So are you getting real urgency in discovery? Desire as well. All right, desire. Do they have real desire, real goals, the real drivers, not just surface level stuff? All right, so those are some of the main things we look for. There are some more, but those are the main ones you need to check off in discovery. Pre-call priming. So this is like the difference from like cold versus warm. Are people coming in the calls completely cold, have no clue who you are, just like, I don't know who you are, but tell me your pitch. If you're getting that a lot, then you know like your pre-call priming is not very good. Or if they're warm, they should know information about you. They're like, oh, I've seen your videos, blah, blah, blah. They mention things like that. That's a really good sign if they're warm. All right, this is huge for trust, or very, very huge. So basically identify, hey, what's the most likely one variable that is the biggest constraint in my sales process? And you just test that one thing. So let's say we're going to test like just the pitch. We're just changing the pitch. All right, so that's the one big thing that we iterate our sales process to hopefully go from 10% to 25%. All right, so we iterate that. And let's say we get to 18%, we make a significant bump. All right, we have to wait a full sample size to do this, by the way. So you have to iterate the variable, then get another full sample size. All right, after that full sample size, if you increase it, if it goes up to 80%, then awesome. You're getting closer towards your goals. You might have to make another iteration. Let's say this time, hey, pitch, we're getting really good temp checks now, but still people are pretty cold coming into the call, so let's actually warm them up better. Let's go do a better pre-call process. And you just repeat this cycle over and over again of, hey, isolate a variable that's the most likely constraint in the process, run another sample size, observe results, and just repeat the process over and over and over again. But it's crucial, you must isolate. Or you must isolate one key variable. The biggest mistake when you do this is you're going to change multiple things. So people just like dump everything, but you don't want to do that. All right, because if you change multiple things, like let's say we change all of these things, all three of these things, and then our conversion rate goes to 5%. Like it gets worse. We don't know why that was. Like we don't know if we just like brutally messed up the pitch. We don't know if we brutally messed up pre-call. We just turned people off completely. We don't know what the reason is. And so it's just like, it's a waste of data basically, because it doesn't tell us anything. All right, so when you change one thing at a time, though, we can clearly have causation. Or if you change pre-call priming and your close rate clearly goes up, then that's causation. Like, okay, with this pre-call priming, with V2 pre-call priming versus V1, V2 increased close rate by 5%, significant, or a significant jump. And so you can clearly have causation there and can build off that. But if you're multiple variables at a time, you have no clue. You're just guessing. Like, I don't know. This jumble of variables got a different outcome. I don't know which thing really did it, but this is just the jumble of variables. It's just like, you can't do that. Isolate variables, test scientifically. All right, do this. This is how you turn your emotions off and become a business scaling robot. And again, like, it's kind of a joke, but this is like the truth. This is how you want to do it. Like, you can't win with your emotions when you're in business. Like, it just, if it rules you, like, I see someone who's just making decisions with their emotions constantly in their business, they're going to lose. They're going to fail. All right, you need to understand this stuff or else game over. All right, so that's if you are an online coach, by the way, if you want some results like these, we have a bunch of results here. I don't know if you've seen this, but go ahead and click the link below for a full breakdown. It's a 90-second video, actually, free 90-second video. If you just click the link below, breaks down our process, our pricing, how all that stuff works, and also results of coaches that we helped out. So go ahead and click that link below if you are interested, and I'll see you there. But go ahead and subscribe to the video as well, like it, comment, all that good stuff. See you in the next one. Peace.